Hi, I'm George. Welcome to my YouTube channel, and today I'm going to share my top 5 favourite art galleries to visit in London, and I guarantee that you'll see some really great and inspiring artworks in these galleries. So there's so many different art galleries in London, it can be a bit hard to choose which ones to visit, and it's often the case when I visit art galleries. Sometimes I leave really inspired, and other times I leave and I feel a bit confused about what I just saw. But I promise you, these galleries on my list are all galleries which, as an artist, they inspired me to paint. But even if you're just perhaps a tourist, just visiting London, then I'm sure you'll have a really lovely experience visiting these art galleries. So I'm going to work my way from number 5 to number 1. But like I say, all these galleries are great to visit. And if you're a Londoner, you may be surprised to hear which gallery I put at the top of my list. But let's start with number 5 on my list, and that is the Courtauld Gallery. So this gallery is sort of hidden away a bit inside Somerset House, so it's not one of the most famous art galleries in London, but it does have one of the best art collections in London. And they have artwork all the way from the Renaissance up to the 20th century. They've got this lovely spiral staircase with natural light coming from the ceiling, and on each floor you work your way up basically from the oldest artworks gradually up to the Impressionists. And if you really love the Impressionists, then this art gallery may even be higher than number 5 on your list, because they have some exceptional work by the Impressionists. They have Van Gogh, his self-portrait after he's chopped part of his ear off. They have a really beautiful painting by Monet of the south of France, and that one just really grabbed me from across the other side of the room, because I've painted a few times in the south of France, and I thought that is the south of France, and I got up close and sure enough it was. He just really captured that light and the colours, and then you get up close and you see his expressive, bold brushwork, and it's just a joy to look at. They've got a really great painting by Manet, which is called A Bar at the Folies Bergère. That's a really fascinating painting with a girl, and you've got this mirror behind and you can look into the reflections. It's painted in quite an interesting way, and it's just one of those paintings where the more you look at it, the more things you see. So if you love the Impressionists, then you'll probably spend most of your time on that top floor. They do also have some slightly older paintings. They've got a self-portrait by Thomas Gainsborough, who's an artist who inspired me a lot. But definitely I would say the highlight of this gallery is seeing those great Impressionists, Van Gogh, Monet, Manet, and many others. And to visit the Courtauld Gallery, you have to pay an admission fee of £10 to enter, but I think it is definitely worth it for the quality of artwork that you'll see. However, it is the only gallery on my list which you actually have to pay to enter. All the other galleries on this list are completely free admission, so if you live in London like me, then you can just keep going back and visiting them as many times as you like without having to worry about all the money you've spent visiting the gallery. So moving up to number 4 on my list. So this gallery is perhaps not that well known, but it is really one of my favourite art galleries, and in fact there isn't a painting in this gallery that I don't like. It doesn't have the biggest collection compared to some art galleries in London, but the quality of the paintings in this gallery are really outstanding. And that is the Guildhall Art Gallery. So this is right in the middle of central London, in the historic city of London. And this art gallery has a particularly strong collection of Victorian paintings, so paintings done in the sort of 1800s. And for me, in my opinion, that sort of age was a bit of a golden age for art, and these are sort of representational paintings painted with incredible skill and academic knowledge about painting. I would say the sort of centerpiece of the gallery is they've got absolutely massive painting by John Singleton Copley, who was an Anglo-American artist, and that painting is called The Defeat of the Floating Batteries at Gibraltar. So it's a battle scene, and it's just got so much atmosphere. The contrast, the way the smoke goes in the painting, you've got the water, the ships, and really fascinating painting which will grab you the moment you enter the gallery. There's also a lot of other great paintings. They may not have the most famous paintings out of all the galleries in London, but I definitely think the quality of work is exceptionally high in this gallery. So definitely worth a visit. So now we're getting into the top 3 galleries on my list. Now, you may be surprised by the order of these top 3 galleries, but the truth is it was quite hard to place which one I like most, because I just love these galleries so much. The quality of artwork, the amount of time I could spend just looking around these art galleries, just to feel that lovely sense of awe that I get when I look at a painting that I just really love. And so number 3 on my list is the Wallace collection. Now this is in Manchester Square, so again it's quite central, and one thing I love about this art gallery is that it's so ornate. It's not just white walls with paintings on them. You've got this beautiful wallpaper, you've also got an armory, you've got all these different suits of armour in there, and it's just like walking around a historic palace. It's really beautiful. And they've got amazing artworks from the English old masters, the French, the Flemish, the Italian, the Spanish. So a lot of paintings that you may be familiar with. And the quality of work here is just exceptional. All the paintings in this gallery are from that time period where artists were incredibly meticulous and knowledgeable about what they were doing. And it's just full of incredibly beautiful paintings. They've got a lot of Canalettos, then they've also got some of the Dutch seascapes, Dutch still life, English portraits like Thomas Gainsborough, Thomas Lawrence, Italian masters, so many masterworks, and I just get a really nice, calm feeling when I walk around this gallery. It's just, everything is beautiful from the wallpaper to the paintings, so definitely worth a visit. Okay, so now we're moving up to number 2 on my list of my favourite art galleries in London, and this one may surprise you that it's not at number 1, but that is the National Gallery. The National Gallery is absolutely exceptional, beautiful building and right bang in the centre of London in Trafalgar Square. And the gallery houses over 2,300 paintings dating back from the mid 13th century up to 1900. And the National Gallery has paintings by all the great English masters, but also old masters from different parts of the world as well, by artists like John Constable and Joseph Turner. One painting which really stands out to me is that painting of a horse by George Stubbs, where he's just left the background as like a gold colour, so there's no detail in the background. Another painting which really stands out to me is the Execution of Lady Jane Grey, a very powerful image of this young girl, and you see the executioner there, and the way the hands have been painted is just really, really well done. Also, they've got a lot of Caravaggios in the National Gallery. This gallery was the first gallery where I saw Caravaggio's work in person when I was a child or a young teenager, and I remember seeing those paintings by Caravaggio, the way he got the light on the armour, the chiaroscuro lighting, and that just really inspired me, and I thought, you know what, I really want to learn how to paint like Caravaggio, and he was definitely one of those artists who inspired me to paint and go towards more of a realistic oil painting approach to my art, rather than perhaps the more abstract modernist art that I was getting pushed to do a bit at school. One thing I would say about the gallery, it is so big that it can actually be a bit tiring getting your way around, and I'm someone who really loves to look at these paintings and take them in. It can almost be a bit overwhelming, just the amount of beautiful art they have there. So definitely visit and go a few times, I'd say, so you can really appreciate all the different paintings. And I'm going to actually include another gallery on my second point. So I'm actually going to give you my top 6 galleries in a way, and I'm going to add the National Portrait Gallery alongside the National Gallery. And the reason for that is they're literally right next to each other. You can walk into one, you can walk into the other. So if you've got a bit of time on your hands, then it's definitely worth visiting them both. And the National Portrait Gallery, they have some really old portraits like those of Henry VIII by Hans Holbein, and they've even got portraits up to the modern day of different kings and queens of England. There's some paintings by John Singer Sargent, who's a painter that I was really inspired by, and those are some paintings which really stand out to me when I think of the National Portrait Gallery. Okay guys, so now to number 1. What is my favourite gallery in London? What is the gallery that I go to most? And this gallery is the Tate Britain. Now the Tate Britain, not the Tate Modern, they're quite different. The Tate Britain, I find, particularly if you walk in the front door and you go in the left side and you kind of stick to that left side of the Tate Britain, you kind of go back in time, or if you walk to the end, which I often like to do, I walk to the very end and then walk back, starting from the past, walking my way gradually through the paintings. And this gallery has some of my very favourite paintings in it. I mean, they've got some beautiful paintings by William Waterhouse, by John Singer Sargent. We've also got some great painters by Thomas Gainsborough. And there's one room in particular which I'll just go into and just look around in absolute awe. And that room is the sort of late 1800s, I guess what you'd call the Gilded Age in America, or the Victorian era in England. Now, there are some works in the Tate Britain which don't particularly resonate with me, but there are so many works in there which I really, really love. Also, if you're a big Turner fan, if you love Joseph Turner, then there's a whole section of the gallery dedicated to Turner's work. And that's a little bit hidden away. You kind of have to walk through some more sort of modern art stuff, and then you'll get to that section. If you love Turner, you'll be in your element. Like I say, I go there so many times. Also, they've got a great cafe there as well. I really love the fruit scones. Nice place to eat some food, have some tea, things like that. Those are my top 5 art galleries in London. I'm sure if you go to any one of those, you'll really enjoy it and you'll be really inspired. If you enjoyed that video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and please let me know in the comments, what are your favourite art galleries in London? Have you been to any of these galleries? I'd love to know. Have you heard of them? Perhaps there's some galleries on this list that you didn't know about. And I hope this video was helpful. I hope if you're an artist, you'll visit those galleries and you'll get a lot of inspiration. Or if you're just looking for something to do in London, then you'll definitely get a really great insight into some history, because paintings in many ways are windows into the past. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.